It's one of those titles you think should be easy to find, with the brand recognition, family friendliness, but it's deceptively hard to find. It's time for another episode of The Hunt for Red Boxtober. In this second episode, I'll pull 8 PS3 greatest hits titles from the collection, a mixture of recent pickups and ones that I've had for a while. And let's talk about them, including how hard it might be to find these in the wild. The first is Super Street Fighter 4. Don't let the name fool you, this is not the definitive way to play Street Fighter 4. That belongs to Ultra Street Fighter 4, which did not get a greatest hit variant and costs about $20, while Super Street Fighter 4 will set you back about $10 or $12. Though it did recently trend upward in price, it appears to have plateaued for now. Super Street Fighter 4 is a very common greatest hits title. You'll likely have no issue running across this game in the wild. If you're wondering why they didn't just put out a greatest hits version for Ultra, or maybe just wait for Ultra instead of Super, well, it's probably because Ultra didn't come out until 2014, and Sony had already stopped publishing the PS3 greatest hits line in 2013. The PS4 was also underway by 2014. Next is Need for Speed Undercover. This is an interesting title as it's a cross-gen title with a PS2, which also has a greatest hits variant. And like the PS2, the PS3 version is a very common title, but it happens to be currently trending upward in price, and I'm predicting about a 15 to 20% increase in value in the next year, which likely places it closer to $14 by this time next year. I run across this game pretty consistently in the wild, but now may be the time to scoop this one up and avoid a price hike, again, as small as it may be. The Need for Speed series has always been a popular franchise, and with the lack of a game in the last 4 years, it's not unheard of to think consumers will gravitate toward older titles that they may have missed in the past. Here we have Injustice Ultimate Edition, and if there ever was a common PS3 greatest hit, this could very well be the poster child. You can scoop up the greatest hits version of Injustice pretty much anywhere a PS3 game is sold. However, unless you're specifically collecting PS3 greatest hits, I'd advise you to get the PS4 PlayStation Hits version instead, as that is the more definitive version of the game. You'll enjoy better performance as well as playability on the PS5, because this really is a great game. And like many PS3 games, this is also trending upward, and by the time 2027 hits, I expect it to be about 25% higher priced. Again, when we're talking such small amounts, the increases are tiny, but you might want to pick this up now for around $8 before it comes $10 later. Next up is Army of Two, the original one, and this is also one of the most common PS3 greatest hits titles that you'll find on the market today. Right now, you can likely pick this up for about $10, but again, I expect this to increase to $12 or $13 by this time next year. That's another 25% increase. Hold off on picking this one up on online platforms, unless you find it for $10 or less, including shipping. You can just as easily find that one in person at your local game store or your convention. And this is one of those titles that irks me because the first 2 in the series are greatest hits, and the third game did not get a greatest hits version. Does it drive anyone else nuts when this happens, or just me? The 5th game is Devil May Cry 4, and we have the first uncommon game of the day. I had a lot of trouble finding this game in the wild. I wouldn't call it rare though, because there's still plenty of copies online if you want to go ahead and get it that way, but you're going to pay 50 to 75% more than if you find it in person. I grabbed it for $8, and if you compare that to eBay listings right now, they're closer to $15 to $18, and loose copies are $10. It's a toss-up on how you might want to grab this one. I'd personally wait for it at a local game shop or convention. The cost difference is significant enough as a percentage to warrant the hunt, but the actual price itself, since we're dealing with such small amounts, again, isn't terrible. Next is UFC Undisputed 3. This is another uncommon title, and it took me a little over a year to acquire it locally for $12, which was even at the time below market value. Today it's closer to $15 you can purchase it, and online it's 40 to 60% more, around $21 to $25, where you can still find copies of this pretty easily though. It's another toss-up if you want to try going for it to complete your collection online or in person. On one hand, it's worth way less than the going rate. On the other hand, it's harder to find in person than your common Redbox games. But one thing is for sure, if people scoop it up online at this rate, they will drive the prices up and local copies will come up too. So it might be worth prioritizing this game now, in person, if you can. Saints Row 2 is the 7th Redbox title today, and it's another uncommon title. I hate for people to think uncommon means rare, because there are some truly rare PS3 greatest hits, and there's even a few super rare titles. But uncommon just means I've pretty much only seen it in person, where I picked it up once, twice maybe, compared to the ocean of Warhawks and mags out there. You really have to think of it as a relative term or a comparison. It's not a copy that I regularly see in the wild, but if you were to go online, you can pretty readily find this one. But again, it's going to be 50 to 100% more than you would pay for it in person. Like the other uncommon titles, this is one you might want to start prioritizing sooner than later. And the final PS3 greatest hits this time is LEGO Indiana Jones: The Original Adventures. This one is actually super rare to find. It's one of those titles you think should be easy to find, with the brand recognition, family friendliness, but it's deceptively hard to find. I actually could not track this down in person, and after hearing from multiple vendors and stores that they've just never seen a copy of this, I decided to resort to shopping online for it. But here's what you need to do. Most people don't realize that it's hard to find, and they price it at the same price as the normal variant. Don't buy it when it's obviously high. You need to get it for closer to $15, which is what the normal variant generally sells for. This is a sleeper title that only people in the know are going to be aware of. The title is super rare due to how late in the PS3 cycle the Redbox version came out versus when it originally released, since LEGO games sell consistently and not in big spikes. So it took a while to reach greatest hits requirements, and the hype had vanished, resulting in a relatively low print run. Also, licensed games tend to have a much shorter print window, and the LEGO Indiana Jones 2 game had already come out by then, which retailers likely put more focus on due to its wider availability, not to mention even newer LEGO games in general. I hope you learned something in this episode of The Hunt for Red Boxtober. Again, I'm very passionate about PlayStation hits and greatest hits on the PS3, PS4, even if I won't play them all. And I find it extremely interesting to use them as a case study in collecting and valuation, since they're a smaller set amidst the greater PS3 or PS4 collection, and they're more localized. Did you know other countries have different greatest hits titles? While I'm not collecting those, I do find that interesting. Well, we'll see you next time on Let's Build a Collection.